This section is going to be 3.4, and it's going to be basically more graphing. But what's different about this is we're going to be dealing with the intercepts. Now, if you think about an interception in football, an interception is where somebody comes in between the quarterback and the wide receiver and intercepts the ball. That means they cross between that line that was intended. So basically, there's two intercepts that we have. We have the X intercept and you have the Y intercept. And basically, the X intercept is the point where the graph would be what you're connecting. So really the line where the graph crosses the X axis. So if that's what the X intercept is, then basically the Y intercept is almost the same thing, except this is the point where the graph crosses the Y axis. And remember the X axis, if I was to draw this out, just put some points on there. This is the X axis, and it always runs left to right or horizontal. And this one is the Y axis, and this is the one that always runs horizontal. So if I was to graph any linear equation, and I'm going to just graph one here, this is the point where it crosses the x-axis. It's just the intercept. It's where it crosses over. So this would be, and I'm just going to call this the xint because I don't have a lot of room. And then where it crosses the y-axis, wherever it crosses this up and down, is located here. And that will be the y-axis, or sorry, the y-intercept. I'll just label that one just with abbreviation. So it's wherever it crosses those 2 points. So visually, it should be fairly easy to tell where they are. But it's not always done visually. So I'm going to show you how to do it with when you just have the equation. Let me clear this off, which is fairly simple as long as you follow a few steps. So in this particular one, I'm going to say that 3x minus 2y is equal to 6. So in order to find the x-intercept, I have to set y equal to 0. So if this is going to be an ordered pair, then I don't know what x is yet, but I know that y needs to be equal to 0. So whatever this number is where it's going to cross. So because I know that y is equal to 0, I can substitute it in and find out what x value is. So I'm going to just substitute that in, that 2 times 0, which is going to be y. And basically what that does is allow that y to disappear. It's going to be equal to 6. So any number times 0 just basically disappears. So 3x is equal to 6. Divide them both by 3. And x will be equal to 2. So that means my x-intercept is going to be 2. Now, if I'm trying to figure out for this same equation what my y-intercept is going to be, the only thing that is different is I do the opposite. That means I need to set x equal to 0. So for this ordered pair, I know that the x would be equal to 0 because that's on the left. And I'm trying to determine what the y is. So once again, substitute that in. X is equal to 0. Make that value equal to x. So that's going to be 3 times 0 minus 2y is equal to 6. So any number times 0 just removes itself. So that's negative 2y is equal to 6. And because this is a negative 2 variable, then I have to divide it by a negative 2. And a negative divided into a positive is always going to give you a negative. Remember, that just allows you to come down to a single variable. In this case, y is going to be equal to negative 3. Now, if I was to graph this out and then kind of graph the line, I could do that without going through a lot of effort. So if I just kind of label this as my x, label that as my y. So if I find the point 2 and 0, so remember x is graphed first, so I'm going to go over 1, 2, and y is equal to 0, so that means I'm on this line, I don't go up or down, so that would be my first point. My second point would be 0 and -3. Well, for 0, I don't go up or down, but then for the y, I go down 1, 2, 3. So these are my 2 points. If I was to connect them, this is what the line would look like. This is where it crosses the x-axis, which makes it the x-intercept. This is where it crosses the y-axis and makes it the y-intercept. As you can see, the x-intercept is equal to 2, and that's where this crosses. The y-intercept is equal to -3, and that's where that crosses.